welcome to Sister Sharpens Sister. My name is Karen. In the blue, you will see Delina, and in the black, you will see Shalon. And today we are starting a three-part series that we're going to call We Are Appalachian because we are. Delina's going to take the first episode, and her topic, if you haven't been on TikTok or Facebook or Instagram or anything else where you can see reels, if you haven't seen something on this subject, then you are apparently living under a rock.
So today I'm gonna talk about foraging. Um, First of all, I want to say that I am not a forager. I've never done it.
Did some foraging in my front
I've
yard.
never done it. Your front yard? Well, yeah. I mean, I wanted to forage some wild onions and rams, but my husband said no, no, he doesn't like onions.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't actually done any. So I am not an expert in any way, shape, or form. Um, if you have a medical condition, something that I talk about today may interfere with it or your meds. So before you do anything, you need to consult your doctor and you need to do your own research. I am going to talk a little bit about mushrooms. Those are very, very dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. So you definitely need to get some training on that. Um, I would like to be a forager, but I'm
Yeah.
not. So yeah.
Well, I
So,
thought I
but
would dip
that.
my toe. I thought I would dip my toe into it because I had
Mhm.
seen there's a lady on TikTok, and Dee Dee's probably going to mention her, the Appalachian Forager, is that her name?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, she was doing stuff on dandelions.
Hmm.
So I foraged dandelions and I have in my cabinet dandelion tincture.
Nice.
It tastes like crap,
I don't think
but
it's supposed to taste good.
it's also made with like cheap vodka, so that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, yeah, maybe, yeah. But yeah, dandelions is definitely one thing you can forage. To go back to the beginning, foraging way, way, way back 17, 1800s and even earlier with the Native Americans, people had to do it or you would die. All right, because now we actually did a series about what people ate, like way, way, way back millennia ago, and brought it up to current day.
Yes.
And
I'll
we even
post
talked
it,
about,
whatever corner the little
yeah,
iCard will be in. I'll
yeah,
put it right
wherever,
here.
wherever. Um, And we even talked briefly about the Great Depression, where people had gone back to foraging so they could survive, right? So in the very beginning, people had to do it or you died, right?
Yeah.
Um, Now, for the Native Americans, it was more than just foraging for food. It was an integral part of their culture, their society, and even their spirituality.
Yeah.
Because
Didn't
some
they use a
things
lot
that,
of it for medicine as well?
yes, yes, they used a lot of it for medicine and for food, and like harvesting some foods and some herbs even had, like I said, spiritual significance to them. So there may have been a ceremony before or after, during. So it was very important to them. Let me see. Now, okay, the Cherokee were in the Appalachian Mountains. They were primarily in the southern Appalachians. Um, they were, and something I found interesting about the tribes that I have listed here is that they were all matriarchal tribes. They were all guided by women.
Matriarchal tribes? Oh, wow.
Yes. They were a powerful nation with a matrilineal society where women played crucial roles in the agriculture, politics, and religious ceremonies. Their settlements often located along rivers and were organized around the woman's clan. Um, they were known for sophisticated agricultural practices and well-established trade networks. The Shawnee were also in the Appalachian Mountains. They were centered in the Ohio River Valley. Um, they foraged, of course, but they also had were known as skilled hunters and trading and warrior traditions, and they were an integral part in the Native Americans' resistance to European settlement.
Hmm.
Now, the Iroquois Confederation was a very powerful alliance of 6 nations: the Mohawk, the Oneida, the Onondaga, the Cayuga, Seneca, and the Tuscarora. They're in the northern Appalachians. So, and all of, I mean, they all foraged. They had to, right? Okay, and then when the European settlers came, they had to do the same thing. Now, European settlers did bring crops with them that they introduced to the Appalachian Mountains. When they introduced them, I don't know, and I couldn't find anywhere. Chicory was something that they introduced. Mint, like peppermint, that was introduced by Europe. That is not a natural mint here in the United States,
I got
but
some
you
of that
can
sitting on my
find
front
it.
porch.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I grow mint too in pots,
Yes.
and I grow it in pots because it can be very aggressive.
Listen, I've got this brown planter box. It's probably, how big is that thing, Shalon? It's like 2 feet by 2 feet. It's not very big.
Yeah, it's not
It's
big.
like this deep. And I put green onions and mint in it like 2 or 3 years ago. And the mint ate my onions.
Hmm. Yeah, it's very aggressive. So if you want to grow it, you need to have a really large place for it, or you need to stay on top of it, or grow it in a pot. But now you
Yeah.
may find it growing wild in the Appalachian Mountains, but it's not native there. But you might find it in the woods, because when Karen and I were growing up, we had peppermint growing in our yard,
Hmm.
and we'd pick it and eat it, pick it and eat
Yeah.
it, pick it and eat it. It was good.
It was good. Yeah. Just like
Very
sourgrass.
good. Yeah. Yes. And that's on here too.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So let me get back to my list. I got me a list today. Now let's talk a little bit about some plants. And I got all kinds of plants on here. I'm just going to do a hit and miss throughout my list because I got way too many to go over. But
All
some
right.
of them that a lot of people probably have heard of was like yarrow or yarrow root. Okay, it was common, and you make a tea from dried leaves. It was used for fevers, colds, and headaches. Leaves can be crushed in your hand and mixed with water and put on a sunburn, so that it was used for burns and things like that. So it had medicinal purposes. And I found that in Europe, since the Middle Ages, a yarrow beer has been brewed.
Hmm.
Yeah, I got a little website for that if anybody would be interested in reading about that. The
If I'm not
dandelion. Now
mistaken,
that,
they also, well, the
okay,
yarrow, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was also used like during the Civil War in the battlefield to stop
mhm.
bleeding.
I don't know if I have that on. It's possible because some of these herbs and wild plants have multiple medicinal usages, so it's quite possible. Hmm. Now the dandelion, Karen already said that she has already done something with dandelion,
Mhm.
and you're going to have different kinds of dandelions. 2 of them, and I've got a little website here people can go to read on this. Um, there's one called the false dandelion, and it's found in the Appalachian region, including Kentucky and Tennessee. But the plant is not native to the Appalachian Mountains. It originated in Europe, North Africa, and Northern Asia, and was brought to the mountains. So it's
Mm.
not a native, but you can still use it in a similar way as you can the native dandelion. So, wood sorrel, sorrel, a.k.a. sourgrass.
So,
Yeah, we used to get that and eat it. And I
I mean, it's
remember, because
good.
it is good. It is good. And I remember when we were kids hearing some of the old timers talk about sourgrass tea.
Hmm.
You can make a tea out of it. Now, it it was traditionally used medicinally for hold on, let me see. Well, to prevent scurvy, liver and digestive disorders, mouth sores, swollen gums, fever, to quench a thirst, UTI, flu, diarrhea, poison, antidote. But there's really, how the scientists now are pulling the old remedies and studying them. So far, they've found no proof that it can do anything except prevent scurvy.
Okay. Now, we have an aunt
Mm-hmm.
who comes back to West Virginia during the summer,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And she I was down in the winter one time visiting mother in Florida, and she was down there, and she brought me a jar of jelly and said, "Here, try this." I was like, "Okay," I tried it. I was like, "Ooh, that is so good. What is that?" She said, "You
Hmm.
tell me what that is." So I was like, and I took another bite, and it's like rolling it around in my mouth. And I said, "Is that apple? Is that green apple?" She said, "No, that's sourgrass." She
Yeah.
had made jelly from sourgrass,
Hmm. It's
and
good,
it
right?
was so good.
Wood sorrel actually grows in my yard here.
I've got some out in my garden actually, and you
Or
started mentioning it, and I'm like,
mhm.
oh, maybe I should dig that up and put it in a pot, and I can start my own patch of sourgrass.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing to do. But I mean, I said I have some in my yard, but since we started letting our hen layers free roam, a lot of that stuff's not around anymore because they're eating it.
Yeah,
So that happens when you have chickens.
they like it too.
Cattails. Okay, cattails are, and I've seen on reels and things I've read about survivalists, they say if you find cattails, you're set. You can eat them, you can use them to build clothing or make clothing, you can use them to even build a place to stay. Okay, like a little hut or something.
On Naked and Afraid, that show that I like to watch,
Yeah,
I've seen them eat cattail.
yeah. And they can be used medicinally too for their antiseptic and blood stopping and anti-inflammatory properties. So you can they're like good. So if you're lost in the woods and you find a bunch of cattails, you're saved.
Isn't a cattail what they used to make a filter and that thing that went around?
So yeah, for water.
Yeah, they had pulled it off of the stem, a little, like a bunch of it,
Hmm.
and put it in the,
Probably, yeah. It's
like,
very
turn the
versatile.
bottom upside down and put it in the bottom, and then stuck the rest of it in there, and then poured water over it and let it drip.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I'd be interested to test the water before and test the water after.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
yeah.
Because you gotta think, it's also picking up whatever's on the cattail.
Right.
Hmm. Okay, another one is American pennyroyal. It's pretty. It's got a little pretty flower on it, but the plant is toxic. Now, if you are pregnant or are nursing or want to become pregnant, trying to get pregnant, stay away from it. Don't even touch it.
Yeah.
The Native Americans would use it. They would make a daily tea out of it as a contraception, and they would even use it as an abortion. So you need to stay away
Wow.
from it if you are
What was it
Mm-mm.
called again? Pennyroyal?
American pennyroyal.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
pretty
it was
flower.
actually
I
illegal in England at one time to be caught with that.
hmm It grows wild because I saw it in my yard one day. This has been years ago, and I was like, "Oh, pretty flower." So I took a picture of it, and I found out what it was, and I was like, "Oh, huh." So it grows wild. You got mushrooms, you got chicken of the woods, you got the pawpaws, which is like a off of a tree. It's like a fruit. So I've got some websites people can go to. Black walnuts. Our grandma Smith had black walnut trees, and when Karen and I were little girls, we'd go visit, like in the fall, and our mom would tell us, "Stay away from those walnuts." Okay, we get ready to leave, and we're ready to leave. She's going to inspect us. We hide our hands behind our back. Did you
Yep.
get into those walnuts?
Nope.
Let me see your hands. Real scared, pulling our hands, and our hands had the stains on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so those are good. Those are
The black
good.
black walnuts taste different than the English walnuts.
They do, but they're still very tasty
Yeah,
and
they
very
are.
nutritious. Um, Also, sumac. There's poison sumac, but then there's also something called a staghorn sumac. Now, the staghorn sumac you can eat.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, the staghorn sumac has red berries and is edible. The poison sumac has white berries. Stay away
White,
from it.
yeah.
Very easy to distinguish them. Um,
When their
let's
berries are out.
see. This is true. Ramps, okay, ramps. We talked about ramps. Medicinally, it was used for cough and cold, bee stings, um, earache treatment, intestinal worms. So,
Now
Blood wound.
here in West Virginia, let me
Uh-huh.
look this up real quick. Um, there is a Ramp and Rails Festival in April
Mm-hmm.
that happens in Elkins. It says it celebrates ramps or wild leagues with food vendors, craft booths, and live music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are communities that have those. In my reading and research, I found that along the Appalachian Trail, there are some smaller communities along the trail that will have ramp festivals.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now
because a
our
ramp is
church, like 10 years ago, well, yeah, it's probably been about 10 years since they've done it. There was a ramp dinner every year.
mm-hmm.
Every year, the United Methodist Men would have a ramp dinner and use it as a fundraiser for the things that they would do in the community.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a couple of the guys that were really big. I mean, you talk about foragers, they were foragers. They'd go get ramps and ginseng and, they hunted and fished and
Mm-hmm.
did all the things that you think that an Appalachian mountain man would do. And
Mm-hmm.
I think the main proponent of that passed away like 8 or 10 years ago, and that's why we
Okay.
haven't done it since.
Right. Right. Now, in case anybody doesn't know, ramp is it's like a wild leek, and it's like a cousin to the onion. Because if you see it and you break its leaf and smell it, it's going to smell oniony.
Yeah, it's potent.
Yeah, it is. Ramps are really potent. Now there is also a wild onion that it looks similar to a scallion.
Yeah, no, we had those growing
Mhm.
in our yard at the other house that we lived in, that we
Yes,
just moved from to this one.
right, right. Now I've got leeks that will grow here, and also those wild onions. Because I saw the wild onions one year, and I'm like, that looks like an onion. So I picked one off and smelled of it, and sure enough, and I teased my husband. I said, I'm gonna pull those and I'm gonna cook them. He's like, no. So yeah, as he don't like onions. So ramps. Now there's ways you can fix ramps, and I got a few websites with some recipes on how to use some of these if you want. There's also various berries and something called a jewel weed. Do you know what that is, Karen?
Heard of it, but I don't think I've ever seen it.
You have
Have I?
many times. We've even touched them a lot, even
Oh
though we
my
called them
goodness.
touch me nots.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, touch me nots. Those were used for skin irritations, burns, and insect bites. And of course, American ginseng, which uses all kinds of different things. Sassafras,
Yes.
the tea for headaches, fevers, and other things. And mountain mint, which is native. Okay. And if you want to identify it, break the leaf and smell it. It'll smell like mint. There are wild grapes. I've tried the wild grapes. I thought they were yucky, but someone might like them.
Never
Uh,
tried any. Wild
mhm,
blueberries and blackberries and raspberries. Now we've had
mhm.
all those.
Oh yeah. You can do those, and like wine berries and mulberries and all of that stuff, and chicory. Well, we talked about. I mentioned chicory, that it's not native; it's from Europe, but you've seen it. I'm sure you've seen it. It's got a pretty little purple flower on it. Kind of resembles a daisy.
Mm-hmm.
See them grown all kinds of different places.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, those. You can make coffee from, or a coffee substitute out of it, or you can. Some kinds of coffee will have the chicory mixed in with the coffee. And I believe the first time I ever had that was when I visited New Orleans, and I thought it was okay.
Say mother doesn't like it.
No,
Yeah.
she doesn't like chicory or chicory
I think
coffee, chicory mixed
she
with
always
coffee.
says that she always says the Starbucks tastes like it has a bunch of chicory in it.
Hmm.
Maybe it does. I know you can buy it, but
Let's see.
if the coffee that you're buying has chicory in it, it will say it has chicory in it. Pine trees.
Yeah, that's been a big thing going around on TikTok too, is
hmm
making pine needle pop.
hmm Yeah, you can. Um, Now, some pine trees contain toxins, toxic compounds, and can give you problems. So you need to do some research and make sure you're not pulling from a pine tree that could cause you harm. Um, there's all kinds of them in the Appalachian area. You've got, gosh, let me find them. The Virginia pine. The needles, seeds, and inner bark can be consumed, although the seeds are quite small, and the inner bark can be boiled and ground into flour. You've got Table Mountain pine, which is not recommended for eating, but it's traditionally used medicinally to treat like for heart therapy and nerve pain.
Wait. You just said a pine tree can be ground down for flour.
Yes. Hold on.
I'm sorry.
The inner bark can be boiled, and then you cook it, and then you grind it into flour.
Wow.
You can also do that with acorns from oak trees too. There's all kinds of different kinds of oak trees. The ones that I am most familiar with, because they're in my yard, are the white oak and the red oak. Okay, you can eat both of them. However, you do have to prep them before you eat them because they have what's called tannin in them, and it's very bitter and can cause digestive issues. The white oak is preferred because there's less tannin. But if you're going to harvest them, you get them and you put them in water. You mix them up. Any of them that float, get rid of them.
Yeah.
Because if they float, that means the shell's been compromised and you don't want it. So if they stay on the bottom, then you got to take them and crack them. Then you take what's inside and you have to soak it in water and or boil it until the water runs clear. The water that you have it in is clear. That'll get rid of your tannin. Then you can take those and just put them in soups or stews, or you can take them and roast them. And if you roast them, you can do all kinds of different things with them, including making coffee, acorn flour, or you can just eat them like you do peanuts.
According to Google, Starbucks coffee does not typically use chicory. They
Typically,
primarily use 100% Arabica coffee beans. It
Mm.
doesn't say they don't, it just says not typically.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
even though I've been tempted to do it because I've got oak trees, I've never done it because I just haven't put aside the time to do it because it's going to take time to harvest them, test them, throw the bad ones away, crack them all open, roast them. I just haven't put aside any time to do it. So I don't know what they taste like. So I looked it
Yeah,
up.
I don't think I've ever eaten acorns either.
They say that they're nutty and sweet, similar to a chestnut or a boiled potato. The acorn coffee is said to be nutty and a nutty, earthy flavor with hints of sweetness and bitterness. Some people have described the coffee as being smooth, nutty cross between coffee and tea, and some describe it as soft, pleasant, and acidic. So
Okay.
my guess is that all of those different types of flavors may be the type of acorn they're using.
yeah, that makes sense.
Now
Yeah.
you can buy acorn coffee or acorn flour online. It's not going to be cheap, but you can.
No wonder it's not cheap. All the stuff you got to do to it.
Now morel mushrooms are a big deal.
Yeah.
Little things. Sometimes you get them bigger. So you can go get those, and people make a big deal about hunting them and cooking them up. You can cook them up and put them in a cast iron skillet with some bacon grease and saute them. I've never had them, but I've heard they're really good.
I
Tree
don't
bark.
like mushrooms.
Oh, I do.
Same.
I do. Tree bark, like the willow, the oak, and the birch tree, can all be. Huh?
Hey, when I when I was little and we'd come up every year for family reunion, we'd stay at Mama's, right? And there's a
Yep.
birch tree right down the street,
Yep.
and I would
Yes.
always go and pick the
Mhm.
limbs and chew on the limbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you,
Yeah,
it's
we would do
probably the
that.
same tree that me and Dee Dee
Yeah.
Yeah,
used to eat off of.
Yeah. Us and our Aunt Delilah, we would like walk to Buddy's Discount, and on the way back, we'd always break off a twig and chew on it.
Yep.
yeah.
Right now, the birch, it has anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial effects, so that could be a good tooth cleaner, fight bad
Yeah.
breath and stuff. Now, the willow tree, the willow bark has salicin in it, which is a precursor to aspirin. And the oak has astringent and tannin-rich properties that can be used to treat like diarrhea and internal hemorrhage, things like that. You can use them, which kind of contradicts with what I read about eating them. They say that if you eat them, it can cause diarrhea, but so
If you drink it,
I don't
maybe
know.
not.
Well, maybe not. I don't know. Clover.
Yeah.
Okay. All parts of the clover plant
No,
are
wait a minute.
edible.
Is this white clover or purple clover?
Both.
Okay.
Okay.
When me and Dee Dee were little, we had a bunch of purple clover in our yard at the
Mhm,
house, and we
mhm.
used to always call it the bumblebee flower.
Yes, bumblebees loved those. You know what?
Yes.
And I've seen rabbits on the edge of my yard, and there would be red clover and white clover growing all over. And I've seen the rabbits prefer the red clover, and they would go and because the red clover flower grows kind of tall,
Yeah.
and it would bite it off on the end, and it would stick it out of its mouth, and the little thing would just chew, 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 chew until it gets to the end of it. Yeah. Now they'll eat the white ones, but the ones I've seen, they preferred the red ones.
I wonder if they're sweeter.
I don't know.
It's
Now, it
interesting. I
says here
just
that.
saw a lady on TikTok a couple days ago talking about the purple clover and how it was good for like female problems like menstrual cramps
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
menopause symptoms and things like that.
Hmm. You can get red clover teas. You can purchase those in stores and online. You
Well, can
can make a
you?
red clover tea at home by steeping dried red clover blossoms in hot water for about 15 minutes. Strain, drink, and enjoy it. Clover blossoms are also used to make jams and jellies. Clover sprouts may be used in a similar way to broccoli sprouts in salads, sandwiches, smoothies. Um, Avoid heating them to preserve the nutrient content. Um, they have also been investigated as a potential replacement for eggs and mayonnaise, where they act as an emulsifier to prevent the oil from and water from separating. Now, the leaves of a clover can be sauteed, added to stir fries, or eaten raw in fresh salads and on sandwiches.
You can do that with
So,
dandelion leaves as well. And if you pay
yes.
attention on your spring mix, you
Hmm.
will see dandelion leaves.
Yes. Yes, and you can also make dandelion coffee with the roots. You do it in a similar fashion as you would do chicory. You pull it and you get it all clean, get all the dirt and everything off of it. I watched a couple of videos. All the ones I saw, they peeled it and then they either
Okay.
sliced it or diced it and put it out
Hmm.
and in the oven and cooked it. Then they would grind it up and you can make a tea out of it or coffee substitute. Okay, now if you're going to forage, always be sure the plants you forage, especially the mushrooms, are the ones you think they are. Okay, because you don't want to get a wrong one.
Right.
And always be mindful of sustainable foraging to protect the ecosystem. So when you forage, don't forage more than 5 or 10% of whatever you're foraging.
Yeah.
So be very careful with that. It's like if you're going to forage ramps, if you take all of them, guess what? They ain't going to grow back next year.
Saw a lady
You need,
picking dandelions, and I did not do this when I was getting them out of my yard because my husband mows them down and he hates them. So they were going to get mowed down anyway. So me and my nieces went through and we picked them almost all of them. But she
It
was
was
foraging.
a
Yeah,
crap on the dandelions.
yeah, it was. But I just got the heads off of them, right? The yellow
uh-huh.
part.
Yeah.
And she was doing the same thing in a field somewhere. And she said that if you're doing this out, you need to be mindful, like Delana was just talking about. And she said, I use this rhyme: one for me, three for the bees. One for me, three for the
Three for
bees.
the bees. Hmm.
And I know I wouldn't be able to find her again because I was just scrolling, but I saw that and it made me think of, you know, this
Hmm.
episode that we were getting ready to do. And I was like, okay, I
Yeah.
need to remember to mention that. So I'm glad you said what you did because otherwise I would have forgotten.
Yep. 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 Now, just a few little recipes that I've found is like ramps or wild leeks, which have a strong oniony flavor. A classic way to prepare the ramps in the Appalachian Mountains is to fry them with potatoes and bacon grease. Now, you can change out your grease if you want, or whatever other vegetable you want. You can do, however you want to do it. Doesn't have to be potatoes. Um, Slice the leaves and dice the bulbs and saute them with olive oil, salt, and pepper, and it could be like a side dish. You can add them to other recipes. You can add them to like soups and stews or any dish where leeks or onions can be used. You can use them. There's all kinds of berries you can get if you forage fresh berries like blackberries, raspberries, wineberries, elderberries. You can put any of those. You can put them in a smoothie. You can make a syrup out of them by cooking them down. And if you want to sweeten it, I recommend honey. You can
Mhm.
put that
Make
on
jelly.
pancakes or waffles or put it on top of like some roasted chicken or something like that. You can also freeze or dehydrate them to be used later. You can add them to a salad if you want. You can make a cobbler out of them. Mushrooms, the more mushrooms, we talked about that already. Wild greens like watercress, dandelions, and collard greens. Although collard greens are not wild, but if someone had cultivated them and left them, you might see them growing again. But collard greens will only grow for 2 years. They're not technically a perennial. They will not last longer than 2 years.
Okay.
Okay. But you can
Sean
use
was holding
any of
up
those
a
in a,
recipe. Did you see it?
huh? Oh,
You
no, I
said
didn't see it.
cobbler,
What is it?
cobbler recipe.
Oh, okay.
I'm making this today.
Nice. What kind of fruit are you using?
Blackberries.
How about that?
They are not freshly foraged.
There's like tons and tons and tons and tons more stuff you can forage. We can't go over all of it. So I kind of just picked a few things out to talk about. Some things that like Karen and I have experience with eating when we were kids. Like the birch tree and the mint and the sourgrass.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what, though, one of the things that you need to pay attention to if you're going to go out foraging, don't forage right next to a road
No.
because that's typically going to have spray off from salty mixture that they put down in the wintertime.
It's gonna have crap on it.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's going to have something on it. So, like, go into the woods and make sure you're foraging in an area that's not been treated by chemicals.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you're
Yes.
not on somebody else's land without their permission.
Mm-hmm. But I also want to talk briefly about, influencers who are online. And the one I like to watch, let me find information. Here it is. Her name is Whitney Johnson, and she calls herself the Appalachian Forager. You can find her on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And I've got those that I will share with Karen.
Yeah, I
And
love
she
Some
her.
other,
she
yes,
just recently came out with a book, and I have the
she
book.
did. You
It's
have the
called
book?
Go Forth and Forage.
Yes, Go
Say
Forth
again.
and Forage.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Now that one's about
Yeah.
mushrooms, right? Is that the one
It's
about mushrooms?
all mushrooms. Yeah. I didn't realize that when I ordered it because I'm not really a mushroom person, but I think it's
But
good
send
and
it to Dee Dee.
to have.
Send it to Dee Dee.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I should.
Some more foraging influences would be Alessandra Vatel, Alexis Nicole Nelson, Jordan Tony, and Sylvan Godin, Fern Freud, and there's a whole slew of others. I've got a website that I'll share with Karen
Okay.
so she can share that so other people can find them and go to them if they want. If you're interested in doing this, have fun, be careful. Don't eat anything that has any poison or potentially has any poison or anything on it. And don't over forage. Don't pick it until it's all gone or just half gone. Just take just like a handful or
Yeah.
less than a handful, depending on what it is.
I feel like
Listen,
this
if you're going to go out in the woods, don't wear flip-flops. Please wear
No.
boots and long pants
is
because there are snakes and spiders and
There's
briars
also
and all kinds of stuff.
check
there's
yourself
also ticks.
back.
Yeah, there's also ticks, so you need to make sure that you're protected from that. So wear your hat. I
feel
would
like
even recommend a long sleeve shirt.
Yeah.
I feel like this is something that you almost want to be an apprentice for first before you go out on your own.
Yeah, that's something else I
Mhm.
wanted to mention too. Is this thing listens, right? So it
Yeah.
knew we were going to do this. So when I was scrolling through TikTok the other night, I saw the lady that was talking about one for me and three for the bees. I also saw two other ladies who, through their public library, offer free foraging classes, and they
Mhm.
take you out into the woods.
Mhm.
You meet up, and
Mhm.
they show you
Mhm.
what's what and what's not.
Yeah, we even talked to this briefly when we did our episode on things to do like on the cheap during the
Yes,
summer, and I
Oh,
talked
yep,
yeah.
about going to your library, contacting your library. They may even have foraging classes.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what?
Because I
Your
feel like
church or a local church may even offer something. So
Oh yeah.
look around, find stuff, contact people.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain things that I am comfortable with identifying, but a lot of the stuff I would probably want to make sure that I am double downing that it's correct.
Yeah. They
Hmm.
make like little handbooks that you can throw into a backpack. I mean, you don't have to have this big monstrosity, bibliography of Appalachian
And
forestry.
depending on how far out you are, I know what I do a lot is I will take a picture of the leaf and then Google search it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, but if you're way up in a holler somewhere, you might not have signal. So,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
that's
I
true.
was like, it depends on how far out you are.
yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
When we moved into this house, Karen and Arnie were over and we were out in my backyard trying to identify stuff.
Yeah.
And I have nightshade and nettle in my backyard.
Okay.
Yeah.
I told Karen, I'm like, I think somebody who lived here at one point was a little bit herbalist,
Dexter-ish. Oh, an
natural.
herbalist. I went way over the other end.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like they might have been someone who would medicinally have
Hmm.
those for some reason.
Yeah. Well, yeah, purple nettle is a medicinal plant, and so is nightshade to a
Hmm.
certain extent.
Hmm.
Right. You have to be very careful with nightshade, though.
Yeah. So that is all we have for foraging. All of the links on Spotify will be in the description. On YouTube, I refuse to give them a photocopy of my ID. So if you want links and you're watching this on YouTube, go over to Spotify. That's where you're going to find them.
Can you put them in the comment? Like, make a comment and put the links in the comment?
Yeah, I can, but it won't be a clickable link.
Oh, okay.
See what I'm saying? So if you want a
Yeah.
clickable link, yeah, go to Spotify. Next week is Father's Day on the 15th. We record on Sundays, so we'll be taking that week off. Dark next week, but this episode will have at least 4 iCards that you can go visit and watch other episodes from us. If you're on Spotify, just hit play and it'll run you through everything we've got. And do all the things, like click this and share that and leave a comment and all
Let
that
us
good
know
stuff.
an episode topic that you would like us to talk about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
leave us a comment. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Because we do. We
Yeah.
talk about
'Cause-
first one thing and then another. But our main
yeah.
focus is to try to learn something new every time we get together.
Yes.
So there we go. All right. Talk to you guys in chat. Have a happy Father's Day. And we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yay.
Bye. Love you.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Bye.